Hello and welcome everyone to the virtual public board meeting for Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association, August 5th, 2021. You can access this slideshow at brentwood-darlington.org/about public records, and Maria will put that link in the chat. A shout out to Maria, who will be adding links to the chat throughout the night and helping with adminning the chat and participants. Just a reminder, BDNA meetings are virtual going forwards, and there is one change. We have archived the Facebook group. It was not really helping the community, and so we are Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association is members of the more involved and attended Facebook groups, and so we're putting our efforts there where the community is already established. Otherwise, you can subscribe to our newsletter to get this meeting invite every month. But if so, you know, the link you use tonight is good through the end of the year for this meeting. A quick look at our agenda. We have lots to do. And if I missed you or you have a community announcement, you can let us know as we do our introductions, and we will make room for you. Everybody is welcome, even if my brain is Swiss cheese and it didn't make it on the agenda. As always, we like to start with introductions. And so I'll go first, and then I'll just call off on my screen. You can choose not to introduce yourself if you don't want to. So I am Chelsea Powers. I'm the current chair of the Neighborhood Association, and my preferred pronouns are she, her. This is not my first meeting. I've been in the neighborhood a little over 5 years now, and I originally heard about the BDNA through a National Night Out event. And you'll hear plenty from me in the rest of the meeting, so I don't have anything else, but I'll pass it along to Gail. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Gail, she, her pronouns. I've been here since the dinosaurs roamed the earth, and this is a lot of fun, and I hope we get to meet again soon in person. Go, Stephanie.
Your turn, Stephanie.
Okay, I'm Stephanie Frederick. I'm chair of the Land Use Committee. This is not my first meeting. It might be my 100th, right? Or 200th. I don't know. I've lived here for over 4 years and joined the BDNA the moment I knew I was going to be moving in. And I learned about the neighborhood association system well before I came to Portland, and it was one of the reasons I came here, and I sought out BDNA immediately. And that's all.
Thank you, Stephanie. Maria, you're next on my screen.
Hi, my name is Maria, she, her pronouns. This is not my first meeting, and I have lived in the neighborhood for a little over 4 years. I heard about the BDNA first through the Easter egg drop in the Brentwood Park. I'm also a part of the Land Use Committee.
Thank you, Maria. Pam, you're next.
Hi, I'm Pam Hodge, she, her pronouns, former board member, so this is not my first meeting. I was born and raised in Brentwood-Darlington and came back about 9 years ago. And I've always been involved in neighborhood associations. So when I moved back to the neighborhood, I started attending BDNA meetings. And I'm also serving on the advisory committee for the lower southeast area rising study. So if you want, I have a brief update on that, or maybe Stephanie's covering it. And I'm also involved in selection of art for the Errol Heights Park. So I can give a brief update on that later if time permits. That's it.
Thank you, Pam. And I do have a slide for that, so you and Stephanie can duke it out in a chat to each other of who's going to present that.
I gladly cede to Pam.
All right. Pam, I'm assuming you're staying for the whole meeting?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. It'll be towards the end in the land use portion, but we'll make sure and fit in a park update as well. Linda, you are next on my list. Linda, you're muted.
Easy to do. Okay. My name is Linda Goldser, and I'm the director of the demonstration garden, Multnomah County Master Gardener Demonstration Garden on the other side of the LGL properties. I've been gardening over there since 2015, and I'm here to foster community relations with everyone in Brentwood-Darlington.
Welcome, Linda. We're happy to have you. Kim, you're next on my screen.
Hey everyone, my name is Kim Hill, she, her pronouns. This is not my first meeting. I've lived in Brentwood-Darlington for about 4 years, and I heard about BDNA. I don't remember, but I do the Soak It Week.
Welcome, Kim. Soak It Week has been a lot of fun. Meredith, you're next.
Hey everybody, I went to one BDNA meeting many years ago when we were in person. I live in the community, have pretty much my whole life. I also work with Impact Northwest, and I'm in the process of, we're starting a few new programs and so forth that we're trying to connect with the community. So I just, I kind of wanted to reconnect with BDNA and see how we could, build more of a bridge. I know one of my other coworkers is also working with you. So we're in 2 separate committees, but I still wanted to connect with everybody. So thanks for having me.
Welcome, Meredith. I think you'll love some of the most recent discussion we had. All right, Laura Lee, did you get your mic working?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yay. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm going to stay off camera tonight because I had to work late today. So I just got home a little bit ago because things are heating up at the hospital these days. I am she, her pronouns. This is not my first meeting. I am on the board as secretary, and I have lived in the neighborhood for 8 years. And I heard about Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association by walking by the community center on my way to the park.
And we are lucky to have Laura Lee as our secretary. Thank you for doing that. Next up, Lynn, you're on my screen next.
Hi everyone, I'm Lynn Reck, she, her pronouns. It's not my first meeting. I'm currently the treasurer on the board. I've been in the neighborhood for 28 years now, and I first heard about the BDNA through a Facebook post.
We are so lucky to have Lynn as our treasurer too. We really
Thank you.
appreciate her. Next on my list, who's here from Coin 6 tonight? All right. Well, if they want to introduce themselves, they can later on. Mary, you're next on my list.
Thank you, Chelsea. Mary Davis here. Preferred pronouns are she, her. Not my first meeting. I've lived in the neighborhood since 1994. In fact, I've lived here so long, I've paid off my house. I first heard about the BDA in 1994 regarding the Safety Action Team meeting. And I've served a couple of terms on the board, and from 1995 to 1997, I was the vice president and president of the board.
Thank you, Mary. We're happy to have you tonight. Last but not least is Jordan. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Jordan and Peter is here too. We moved in a little over a year ago and have been enjoying the neighborhood a lot. I think y'all sent us a flyer and that's how we heard about us. So thank you for doing that outreach. It's very appreciated. Anything else? We have joined the community garden and been enjoying that quite a lot and are excited to learn about the demonstration garden today.
Welcome, Jordan and Peter. And yeah, the brochure you received in the mail is part of our outreach program. And we'll be talking about those later in the evening in different languages. Did I miss anyone who wanted to introduce themselves? All right, we're going to move on. If you decide you want to, just let me know. We're going to go ahead and move to community announcements. Apologies for my reach here. I'm navigating with 2 machines. So we always start with our green thumb site here, Learning Gardens Lab, Black Futures Farm, and Multnomah Master Gardeners. I only have a representative here from one today, but I do have a slide on the Learning Garden to remind everyone that they're still doing their harvest share. It opens every Monday at 5:30, and you can go to that Eventbrite link and see what they have on offer. You can also follow them on Facebook. We don't have a link for that, but you can search Learning Garden Slab and find them pretty easy. I don't have any updates for Black Futures Farm, but I definitely recommend checking out their website and their Facebook to see what they're up to. I know they do sell at one of the farmers markets. So if you want to catch them in person, that's your best bet. And Linda, I'm going to go ahead and let you do your update on Master Gardeners.
This time I remembered my microphone. Okay. We are now open to the public. We do not require masks or anything of that sort, and we welcome the public with open arms. We are open most Monday through Thursday from 9 to noon. If it's a really warm day like next Wednesday or Thursday is going to be, we'll start at 8. But anyone can come in and visit the garden, and well, when we are open. Last meeting, I think I mentioned that we were opening for events. A lot has happened between then and now, as you all know. And so today that is not so much happening. We are still planning on having our fall Master Gardener event at the garden that we have every September. It's usually a big potluck, and it's where we do our Master Gardener awards, presentations, and stuff like that. This time it's going to be very small get together, Master Gardeners only. And we are hoping as the COVID situation gets better that we can start opening for events for the public. However, we do also want to welcome with open arms any gardeners, any community member gardeners who would like to come and work next to us. It's a very simple process to come and to get cleared to do that. So I'm going to put in the chat my contact information in case anyone wants to do that. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Linda. And your information's already in the chat provided from your slide here. Maria went ahead and posted it for you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mary, what's new at Leach?
Well, it's been a challenging year. We've are on interesting ground in our relationship with Portland Parks and Recreation. They say one thing and do another. So we know we have some revenue deficits, and so we're scrambling to come up with creative ideas. And one of the creative ideas is happening this month. We had a farm to table opportunity to do a dinner with one of the local farms out on Soviet Island, and the owner happens to be a chef, and she agreed to do a benefit. So that's coming up this in a couple of weeks. We put the tickets on sale for $165 a person, and they sold out in 4 days. So that gave us the feeling that maybe we're onto something here. We're going to try and do a music event in September, the second Sunday, the 12th. That will be in the afternoon. And I can't give you any more details than that because everything isn't finalized. But so I would recommend, I will try to get an email off to Chelsea to put on the website, but keep in touch with the leachgarden.org website, because that's going to be a really cool event if it comes off. And it will be for 80 people, and tickets are proposed to be at $175, but it will provide music from a well-known singer in the local area and beverages and hors d'oeuvres.
Thank you, Mary. And that link to Leach Garden is there in the chat. All right. Next up, I have some school updates just real quick. The first day of school is coming up somehow really quickly, September 1st. If you are not a PPS parent, then you did not receive the email we did today. They are returning to full 5-day school. Students, staff, and all people in the building will be required to be masked regardless of vaccination status. And there are several things regarding filters and air quality and things like that that PPS is installing. So all buildings will be getting some upgrades there. A reminder that school zones will be effective as of September 1st, so definitely slow down for those. And Woodmere is planning their version of a community care day. PPS is not hosting official care days this month, so they have chosen to do their own on the traditional day. I'm checking with other schools to see if they are also doing them, but if they're not, BDNA, I'm hoping we can chat a little later on about maybe making a neighborhood care day and helping the schools each have an event on that day staffed by volunteers that are already used to those events. So put that in your pockets a little bit, and we'll talk about that later on when we talk about our events. A reminder that Vibe of PDX is hosting camps here in our neighborhood at the Moose Lodge, and they have opened up some new camps for August, and I believe they still have some room available. So if you have a kid in the 5 to 8-year-old range, especially check out those new camps. And that link is in the chat. Additionally, neighbors from the Brentwood-Darlington Connected Neighbors page on Facebook, or group on Facebook, has the admins have planned a cleanup event. So that will be September 11th from 9 to 11:30, and they have some fun things planned. You can see what they've got posted there, and there's a link to that group. You do have to answer some questions to be a member of it. It is not run by the BDNA, but it is a community event we were asked to announce. Any questions so far? I know I'm moving quickly through this, but we got a lot tonight. All right. We can go ahead and move on to an update for Soak Week, and I'll turn it over to Kim to start off. Remember to unmute, Kim.
Here I am, unmuted. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association meeting. Just a brief update on Soak It Week. We completed our events technically in June. However, we had 2 events and gave away about 70 buckets at each event. And we had wonderful cards that were translated. So we were able to give buckets away to neighbors who spoke Chinese, Ukrainian, Spanish, Russian, and
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. Thank you, Chelsea. We also, you may or may not know, we had about 200 buckets total to give away, and all of those buckets are gone. There was a tremendous demand for Soak It buckets after the event, and they have been handed out through Chelsea and myself and other neighborhood association board members, and we're so grateful for everyone's help. We also had the actual Soak It Week, which are the last 2 weeks in July and August, promoted through Chelsea, and she put up web postings and shared on social media just to remind people to soak their trees during this drought time. And also the cool thing about the buckets are that the labels give instructions. So if you know of anyone who needs a label for a bucket that they would drill themselves, we are unfortunately, or fortunately, are completely out of buckets. There are still quite a few left. So please get in touch with Chelsea and she'll send her to me. Yeah, I think that's about it.
It was great. We handed out buckets and people were really excited to get those last few. So if you want to see the gallery of the events, the 2 events that we held, you can go to that Soak It Week link in the chat and see pictures, including our intern who helped with those events and some of the other stuff, the other media and things.
Great. And then I think the last thing that I need to do is thank Chelsea, Stephanie, and Laura Lee for their time and effort getting this project off the ground, and for all the help with all the logistics and planning and various things. It was a group effort, and it's really been a terrifically a welcomed event. I just see that Jordan is thanking us for the bucket, so I'm so glad that she's involved, and other neighbors, like Chelsea said, have been very enthusiastic. So we're happy to see blue buckets all around our neighborhood and participate again next year.
Agreed. And a big thank you to Kim and Laura Lee for originally championing this project and getting it off the ground. So we have one more Soak It Week. If you are not on our Soak It Week newsletter, make sure you sign up on our Soak It Week link, and we will send you a reminder for our August one. And I can't wait till next year's bucket event. We'll see how many more buckets we can hand out. Any questions for Soak It Week? All right, thank you much. My update on our communications grant from Southeast Uplift. We got some money for translating our brochure into Spanish and Vietnamese. Those are now at the printer. Thanks, Derek, for getting those sent off to Debbie at Oregon Business Forums. And Lynn, I got the invoice sent to you today from our last translator, so we can see what we have left to print some other promotional materials.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, and so those brochures, Derek, did you by chance get an ETA on those?
They've been kind of swamped, but I'm happy to check in with them tomorrow and share that with you. Yeah.
Great. I'm just hoping we can get them by the end of the month before the cleanup events start, like at
I think we should. I think we should. Yeah.
BDNA has been asked to table, that's one thing I forgot to mention, at the neighborhood cleanup event that the Facebook group is doing. They asked us to bring voter registration information. So I'm gonna have a table there with information on that and on the BDNA. So if we can get them by like August 20th, that'll be in plenty of time.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Any questions on those brochures? All right. Next up, this is the brainchild of Stephanie, the guide to coexisting with nuisance properties. And I'm gonna just give a quick little overview about why we made this, because it is one of those things that could be taken different ways. The reason behind this little guide is that we regularly get emails, phone calls, messages asking us how to deal with a property that's been abandoned, or a property that has garbage in the right of way, or other nuisance house things. So this guide, Stephanie thoroughly researched. She ran it by a lot of different people who would have the correct information and could verify things. And it is as much the information from the city's website as possible. So Stephanie, let me know if I got anything wrong there, and if you want to say anything about it before I hold it up and flip through it.
Oh, I'd just like to say that this has been a long-term project, and it's finally done. We got good help from an employee, a staff member at ACO, and he was wonderful, and now he's gone to another city. So I think all the time I was working with him, he was looking to move elsewhere. I can't blame him. But anyway, he was very, very helpful in giving suggestions about this, and he shared it with some other people there. and the Bureau, so I feel that it's been thoroughly vetted by the city. We've doubled and triple checked the phone numbers and the the email addresses and the URLs. So it's as good as we can make it and as honest as we can make it. One of the purposes of it is to spare residents the many hours of research it would take to try to find out what they can do if they're faced with a nuisance property. And we've given everything we can here, but the bottom line is that there really is not a lot that can be done about nuisance properties unless the police can be persuaded that it is a big problem. So with that, I'll give it to Chelsea to go through this wonderful booklet that she put together that contains all the information, and we'll be able to, we're going to print copies. We'll be able to hand these out to residents. We'll have an online version, and this should be very helpful to the residents of Brentwood-Darlington. And thank you, Chelsea, for putting this in booklet form. I'm really eager for the board to see it. And I know, Derek, you wanted some copies to
Yes.
hand out to people who might be in need of it. And so Chelsea has printed off some copies to get to you.
Great. And I'll reach out to you, Chelsea, to get those.
Yep,
Okay.
I have 10 home print copies for you on a heavier weight paper and stapled. And one more note on this, we have had residents cite inability to get a nuisance house dealt with as a reason for leaving the neighborhood. And it's been more than one neighbor, it's been many neighbors. So hopefully this will help neighbors know what steps to take. So if you would rather see me present it here, you can pin me, which you do on most devices by using the 3-dot menu on my little picture and choosing pin. So you can do that, or I'm going to go through each one. So here on the screen is the very front, and here it is in the booklet. And so this is an 8.5 by 11 double-sided folded in half. When neighbors open the booklet, they first get the City of Portland code regarding nuisance houses. And Stephanie put a couple of pertinent notes there at the bottom.
It's not the code itself.
The chapter. Go ahead.
It's a summary of the code.
Yep. And we have the website and what code you're looking for if you want to read the actual code. Okay. The next page is actions that may abate some nuisance behaviors, and these are arranged in escalating form. So you start with reporting, and all the reporting numbers are on the back for easy access. And then you have all the different steps that you can take, starting with the kind of the suggested order of communicating with the property owner and working with your neighbors and collecting data and connecting with the neighborhood association. And once you've tried all of those things with appropriate reporting, then you can escalate to working with, let's see, the East Portland Community Safety Team, and finally escalating to contacting Portland Police. And then Stephanie found a really helpful little summary on when to take legal action, so that neighbors know when they might want to contact a professional, but we're not recommending anybody or telling them we're lawyers. It's just a little kind of a checklist of, should I ask a professional? And then on the very back, to make it super easy, is all the different ways to report. Whoops, and sorry, I forgot my pages here. So that's the continuing actions and legal, when to take legal action page. And then on the back, the ways to report. And this, it's funny because this guide has already helped neighbors by we have some neighbors in a adjacent neighborhood who were experiencing ongoing gunshots and wanted to know, who do I contact for something that is a chronic nuisance or crime? And so I was able to give them this ways to report for them to figure out the correct person to talk to report their particular issue. So any questions on this guide? All right, BDNA, I do have some, I got two, my brain just shut down on me, sorry. I got two estimates for getting these printed, and I'm sorry I forgot to put them up on the slide, but I will, we got one from Oregon Business Forms for on 60-pound paper with the full color process, folded, stapled, double-sided. We could have 50 booklets done for 120, 100 done for 165, or 500 done for 400 with a $20 setup. We also got, and I'll put this in the chat because I know that somebody reading out a bunch of numbers is not helpful. So here is our first estimate, because I'd like to talk about approving some funds to get these printed, since Stephanie and Derek would both really like these printed, as I think neighbors would find them helpful. So that's our first estimate. And then our second estimate comes from Home Run Graphics here in the neighborhood. And that is also now in the chat. And that is a 80-pound gloss paper with the saddle stitch, and 50 of those would be 176, 100 would be 213, 250 would be 351, and 500 would be 389. So we have two different estimates, very similar processing. Note on the second estimate that it is a heavier paper and a glossy finish. And on the first estimate, it's a slightly lighter paper and just a matte finish, and would be stapled rather than stitched. So I'd like to pause for a quick discussion on how many we'd like printed and what style we would like printed. So I'm going to open it up, board members and community members. Tell me your opinions. And Gail is abstaining because she is married to Home Run Graphics.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Gail. We appreciate that. Stephanie, go ahead.
I think we should go for 50. I think, and I'm suggesting the smaller number because of possible changes we may wish to make. And at this time, Derek will be handing them out, but we do not have any events in the near future, right, where we'll be handing them out. So I'd kind of like to err on the lesser side, the fewer side, and then order more later as we see how many we're handing out. So I go for 50. Go ahead. Okay.
And also the first estimate, so 50 books would be 140, correct? Because each one is $20 set up.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
How does Home Run Graphics, do they have a setup fee?
Gail, do you know the answer to that one? It wasn't included in the estimate. Nope. Gail says no setup fee in the
No
chat.
setup fee, okay.
So neighbors, do we want to go with the heavier weight book or the lighter weight book? Do we have an opinion on that? Yeah, Stephanie, go ahead.
Well, I'm tempted to go for the home run one just because it will be I don't know, more impressive, more professional looking?
It'd be heavier weight and glossy, right?
It would be very similar to
Okay.
our resource guide. So
Okay.
if you think about the way our resource guide is, where it's that heavy paper, glossy finish stitched cover. I believe that's the same paper, and Gail, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is what we used for resource guide.
What is stitched mean? I'm not sure I understand that.
So that refers to the binding. So on this one, you can see I stapled it. Do you see the
Uh-huh.
staples? So instead of being stapled, they run a line of stitching down it.
Okay.
So it's not anchored in just in just a couple of points. It's all the way through.
I'm more inclined to go with the second one for $176, just and see how many we hand out. And if we, because it's not that much more, since the other one is $140, to go with the nicer one and the glossier one, just to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. And then if people start really wanting a whole bunch of them, maybe we can think about going to a lower price.
All right. Stephanie, did you have any more, or was your hand up from before?
Oh, my hand was up from before. Sorry.
Okay. Excellent. So it sounds like we are leaning towards supporting an in-neighborhood local business, going for a little bit higher quality of a print. And we could have them available at the neighbor-led cleanup event to see, kind of test what the interest is in them. Does that seem like a good test?
Yeah,
there?
that sounds like, yeah, I think that would be nice. I'm kind of tempted to suggest 100 versus 50, but it seems like, for just a little bit more, you get twice as much. So I don't know.
So Derek, do you see a demand then for these things?
Well, I think I don't know. I guess I'm optimistic. It's like we can just get out and start distributing them. We have new neighbors coming in each month. So I guess it's just a matter of being in contact with people.
And this would be a requested item, the printed version. I
Right.
did put, let me head back to that first slide. I did put, there is a print your own version on the site, as well as a page by page version. So
Okay.
neighbors can download it just as, something to scroll through, or they can actually download it as a spread and print their own, since it's on just letter sized paper. So I am also inclined to lean towards 100, simply because the print cost per item does spread out a little more.
Yeah, if we go through 50 and order another 50, that's over $300. So I don't know. That's my take on it.
I think I agree with that as well, 100. And plus the information on I don't think the information is going to change very quickly. That's actually on the brochure. So we could, even if we go into a second year, maybe even a third year of handing it out, the information probably will still be relevant.
Right.
Neighbors, any opinions on this? You are welcome to share your opinions on how we spend BDNA money, because it is your money as well. All right. I don't see any more discussion. So I'm going to propose that we print 100 copies of this brochure using local business home run graphics for the cost of $213. Does everyone good with that being a motion?
Okay, yeah, I'll second.
Okay, so I still move that. Stephanie seconds. So there is a motion on the table to print 100 of these, spending $213 using home run graphics. And we have exactly quorum. So Gail, you will have to vote but abstain if you plan to. Okay. So I will run through the roll unless there is any further discussion.
I just have one thing I wanted to say.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I forgot about this, but we were thinking of sharing some copies with neighboring neighborhood associations like Woodstock and Mount Scott Oneida and
We do
So
happy to provide them a couple, but if they want more than that, they can kick in for some printing costs.
There you go. Yeah.
only, yeah, no. I wasn't suggesting supplying them, but just sharing a couple of copies is just fine.
Yep.
But I just wanted to bring that up.
All right, so let's earmark about 10 of them maybe to distribute to other neighborhood associations,
Okay.
10 or 20.
Yeah.
All
20.
right. Any other discussion before we take a vote on this? Thanks, neighbors, for hanging through this business. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Stephanie,
Aye.
Derek,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Laura Lee,
Aye.
Gail,
Hi.
and me. I am also an aye, and the motion passes unanimously. So I will follow up on that since I got the estimate. Derek, you're off the hook for this printing, but I will
Okay.
make sure you get some of the new ones in the meantime. There are 10 home printed copies on the side of my driveway fridge for you.
Okay.
So pick up.
Driveway fridge. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
You know where I clip things for you usually.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that was fun. Are you sick of hearing from me yet?
No. Continue.
All right. Next up is events in the works. Stephanie made an amazing connection at Impact Northwest, and we have now led to starting to plan some events. Now, we are planning these, keeping in mind that we might have to shift what we're doing. They are planned to be mostly outdoor events, and we'll be watching protocols carefully. But I wanted to bring these up to invite neighbors to start letting us know what events they would like to help on, what they're interested in, and if they'd like to volunteer as we cement up the dates and other details. Stephanie, do you want to add anything or would you like me to touch on each event?
Would you, Chelsea?
Okay. All right, so just a really quick touch on each event, and Gail, I will get to your question, don't worry. First up is a community center cleanup. So we want to have some fun outdoor events, but the community center could use a little bit of a facelift outside, you know, some mowing and pruning and things like that. So we're working with Andy Nelson, the director at Impact Northwest, to figure that out. It is tentatively scheduled for the end of September, but we're still cementing the weekend. That will lead to our first event, which is a sunset market. For neighbors who remember the Southeast Art Party, think something along that same kind of flavor, but with more to it. So art market, maybe there will be, I believe, a meditation room. There's planned to be activities and music and all sorts of fun community building and ways to empower neighbors. So that one's going to be really, really fun. Before I move on, do we have questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Go ahead,
So
Meredith.
the Sunset Market, is that going to be a place for small businesses to potentially sell things, or is it just a connection?
It will be a market where people can come and sell their creations, their crafts, their art, their homemade goods and things like that. Yes.
I was just curious because I would love to participate. I'm just not sure because I have a small jewelry business. It's paparazzi. I don't make the jewelry, but it's still a small business out of my home. So I wasn't sure if that was something that I would be allowed to do.
I don't think we have figured out exactly what type yet. That's in that discussion of details.
Okay.
So, awesome. But we'll definitely make that a discussion point and get of that.
I like, heck yes, that was cute.
Thanks, Gail. Love your enthusiasm.
I'd love to be the resident paparazzi gal if that's welcomed.
All right. If you need paparazzi, message Meredith.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Halloween festival, which is what I'm tentatively calling Trunk or Treat, because let me tell you, Spooktacular and trunk or treat do not translate well, folks. It is very hard to translate those, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for some of our neighbors. So something more general like Halloween festival that will still encompass something like a trunk or treat or still a trunk or treat is what I'd like to go with if there's not a lot of argument. All right. Pam, you have a question? Go ahead.
Oh, backing up to the Sunset Market, do you have a tentative date for that? And the reason why I ask is RAC is about to notify the successful artists for the art installation in Arrow Heights Park, and they're going to be spending the next few months coming up with the concept for what type of art the community wants. So they might want a table at that event.
That would be a great opportunity. It is tentatively scheduled for October 9th, but that date may change depending on availability of the community center and staff.
Okay, thank you.
And we are working, since we're working with Impact Northwest on this, we might be able to do events that are beyond our normal insurance and staff capacity. So that's really great. Gail, you have a question. Go ahead.
A lot of cultures don't like the actual word Halloween. So if it's early in October, an autumn festival would probably be more appropriate.
I believe we had tentatively scheduled this for October 30th, and it would still be a Halloween flavor. So I appreciate that feedback, and we can definitely change to an autumn event if neighbors would rather. But I think that trunk or treat is fairly desired.
I'm good with all of it.
Excellent.
It could also, instead of autumn, it could be harvest, because that way it could bring in, the whole pumpkin. And I know with a lot of the clients that we work with at Impact, we try to stay away from the Halloween aspect just because of trying to understand different cultures. So we do a lot of the harvest type titling too. But as always, you have to take everybody's ideas into consideration. So
neighbors, would we prefer to have it a harvest festival? Because all right, definitely think about that. I will let you know that we have tentatively confirmed the PDX Avengers to come for that event again. You may remember they were the Marvel cosplayers that came for our last trunk or treat event. So there will be volunteer opportunities. I see questions in the chat here, and there will be signups for tables as soon as we have those. This is really just a put this in your head. This is happening this fall. We'll have details. We have meeting with more partners planned next week to hammer out some of these details. So keep those questions coming so I can bring them all up. Next up is the Winter Lights Festival. That is Stephanie's brainchild, which I think is great. It would be a multicultural gathering where neighbors would have a flashlight, and we would have different colored covers they could put over their flashlights to represent the traditional colors of their winter holiday, and with guest speakers from different faiths to talk about different winter holidays that are celebrated, and just kind of a fun gathering to celebrate lots of cultures. Stephanie, you want to add to that, please?
Okay, so in my original idea was to have a parade to walk around the park in the dark with the lighted flashlights. And
I forgot that point.
I'm worried about making it too complicated with speakers and so on. I mean, I personally would prefer lights and maybe some music, but whatever we all agree on, fine, I'll support, but that's just my 2 cents worth.
We could have the walk around and have the speakers at some sort of gathering with warm beverages maybe afterwards.
Oh, okay, that sounds nice. Yeah.
So okay. I thank you for reminding me of that. The walk through the park is definitely an important aspect of that. Jordan, you had a question. Go ahead.
I just have a question. Is there an opportunity because of Impact Northwest mission and us all being neighbors who live here? We have a lot of houseless folks who live in and around the park. Is there an opportunity to give out food of some sort at any of these or resources?
Well, then you are going to love the next event, Jordan.
Okay, great. I'll just wait and all.
The next thing on this list is a monthly community meal. The neighborhood association has all the Thursday evenings rented out because we are shifting all our meetings to Thursdays, but that leaves the fourth Thursday of the month available. And we've been talking with Impact Northwest about the possibility of opening up the community center once a month for a free meal for neighbors. It would include things like once we kind of got it rolling, the hope is to have some sort of short educational thing, whether it's Portland Bureau of Emergency Management talking about how to keep your home safe from fires, or some information on the art that's coming in at Arrow Heights, or something where neighbors can learn something about what's going on in the neighborhood, as well as hopefully a activity for kids and an opportunity for a little pop-up market. So neighbors could come get a free meal, pop up their little market and sell a few things and go home. It would be relaxed, open to everyone. You can come just for the food. You can come just for the information. However you want to show up, there is free food there and community if you would like it. So questions, comments on that? That is still very much a forming idea, but I am really excited about it. Stephanie, is your hand up?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring up the budget aspect of it. So I know that in the planning, we will be taking the cost into account. I just want to make sure that we don't have to end up dropping it or something because we run out of money. So presumably we'll be working on fundraising too in parallel.
Yeah, we will need to come up with some fundraising things. I do believe that Impact Northwest is interested in helping us out a little bit with this in the beginning, at least. And I know we could work on some grants. This would be maybe a great placemaking grant opportunity where we're making a place for community to gather. And then under the and more aspect here, neighbors have repeatedly asked for some sort of activity for parents with small kids, preferably like during the weekday, and something where they could let their kids go run and ride on some toys, and something similar to what Parks and Rec does, but on a smaller scale. So if that kind of thing interests you or interests you as a volunteer, we are kind of working on that with the hope that it could maybe tie into some of the early education stuff at Impact so that parents could maybe have coffee in the next room while their kids are supervised. Meredith, I would love your opinion on that.
Yes, and that's so interesting because there's a project that a committee that I have started within Impact. And for a lack of, we're still trying to name it, but just kind of give you a little bit of history. We used to have a classroom over at Dancing Tree, the Dancing Tree Family Center over on Burnside, and we have since had to close. Shouldn't say had to close it. We closed it and repurposed our room for something else, for a pantry and day work over there. So we had an abundance of excess toys and equipment and things like that we really didn't have a place to store. And I came up with an idea of us trying to start a lending library to pilot it to our families that are in our program to start with, just so that we can kind of get any bugs worked out, with the hope that we could then open it up to the community with sidebars of different things, like trying to revamp our clothing closet that we've had for years, but it's just not quite working the way we want. We want to start a pantry at BD. We want to have potentially meditation things that people can borrow through this center. Like I said, we're trying to come up with a name. We would eventually love to be able to hold like those kinds of coffees and maybe self-care days, or kids activities, those kinds of things. So I think that we're definitely pairing up, I think, really well with some of these ideas. It's just a matter of us coming together. We would love to have, excuse me, we would love to have someone from the association also be part of our committee, if someone is interested in doing that. That way we could connect that, make that bridge, so that we're kind of all in the loop. And it's one of those things that I'm really hoping that it will turn into something much bigger than what we anticipate. That's the goal, but we're starting small so that we can iron out all the details. I hope that made sense. Like I said, it's all in the beginning process right now. So we would love to hear what the community needs are. That's something that we want to try to help meet through this program. I'm also part of the Dream Catchers Committee that you have worked with Delilah. So I think there's a lot that will start happening over this next quarter to 6 months.
Agreed. I think we are destined for great events coming up. And I will remind everyone that BDNA is only 7 members. So if you would like to be up on the board as a representative on one of these events or committees, we can add members for this to the end of the term at any time. So just throwing that out there for neighbors who might want to be a little more involved and get a chance to vote on these things. But you can volunteer no matter what. Let us know. You can hit us up in the chat. You can send us an email. We will find a way to get you volunteering, especially if one of these events really spoke to you. Let us know, because we'd like to make sure you're included on planning and things like that. Meredith, one note on the food pantry. I would love to talk to you about that now that Pop-Up Pantry has closed, and maybe transfer over some of those connections and things we learned.
That would be awesome. Our biggest thing, obviously, I know that you guys are very familiar with, is space, storage. And that is one of the things that we would love to be able to brainstorm with everyone of ways that we can make that work. I know that a garden, just between you, I, and BDNA, I'm not sure if you guys are knowing of this, but I do believe a garden is going to be started also at our center.
That was a grant from Southeast Uplift. I believe it was listed. Stephanie, didn't you see that? It's on our list to ask Andy about.
I sent you the description by email.
Oh, thank you. It's somewhere in my email.
Yeah, so I believe that Malcolm he's I believe heading that part up, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know that, we're all in conversation together about some of this, because I know that a lot of our families, a lot of the families in our program, in our community, they can't get to the food banks, or they're carless and things like that, or they don't fit the hours that work with the Lane Pantry. And so I really feel that there's a necessity in our community to have access to an additional pantry, especially with the COVID stuff still going on. It's clearly a need in our community when people were still, stopping by. So I'm really looking forward to helping. But yes, Chelsea, reach out and we'll try to figure out and brainstorm how to make this happen.
Yep. We were serving 110 families at both total over both locations by the end of Pop-Up Pantry. So the need has gone way up from what it even was before, which was high. So, all right, we are only 6 minutes behind, but I don't know about you folks. My water cup is empty and I would like to take a 5-minute break to refresh it. So we will, let's make it 4. We'll be back at 8:05. And I'm going to pause the recording and see y'all in 4 minutes to restart the next part of the meeting.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna start off our second hour with our treasurer's report. Lynn, you are on.
Okay, hello, everybody. So basically for our treasurer's report, we started off, the checking account had $7,300. We just had a couple of transactions, the Zoom subscription renewal and the website forwarding service. We ended up in checking $7,143. We have $1,000 in savings. So a total of $8,144. We do have some additional expenses coming up, which will put us at $6,619, not counting what we just authorized. I do have a question on a couple of items that I had in my report. The cases of water that the board approved to buy during the heat wave. I'm not sure if that's still receipts are coming for that.
We don't need to. Neighbors donated enough to cover it. My
Okay.
apologies for not letting you know.
Okay, all right, I will cross that off. And then the other thing was also the intern. I don't have any invoice or, not sure where that is or.
Kim, can you take that one?
Do you want to contact me offline and I can go ahead and assist you with getting in touch with that neighborhood partner and taking care of that expense?
Okay, yeah, or yeah.
Does that work, Lynn?
Is there a person that can just forward me an invoice or Yeah, I just basically need if it's something we need to pay, I need an invoice so I can get that paid.
I'll coordinate that and we'll get that to you right away.
Okay, all right, thanks. I think
Thanks,
that's
Lynn.
it. I don't know if anybody has any other questions.
The only other question, I have one on the, if we want to do more grocery outlet gift cards. I gave away the last one this week. We have handed them mostly out to neighbors who have been really struggling. The last few went to a new to the neighborhood family who was struggling to get their cupboards restocked after moving expenses. And another one went to a family who experienced a severe medical incident, and the main breadwinner was hospitalized long-term. And we also gifted one recently to a houseless neighbor. So we are out of them again. I don't know if we want to do more of those, but that is the only spending request I have. Does anyone have any other requests for treasurer funds? Stephanie, do you have your hand up?
No, I keep forgetting to take my hand down. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Board members, do we want to do another round of grocery outlet gift cards, or do we want to hold off on them and see what we're doing next? I'm open to opinions on that.
So again, so Chelsea, so you've distributed all of them, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I vote, I'm happy to go get some more. I think just in my travels around the neighborhood, things are getting not easier, but tougher. So I'm all for getting some more and having those for you to distribute.
Okay. Stephanie, did you have a comment on that?
Yes, I second what Derek is saying, and I've been reading in the newspaper that that the state of Oregon is way behind in forwarding rental assistance to renters and landlords. And so I'm not surprised to hear Derek saying that he's seeing more and more struggling up there. So I move that we do another round of gift cards. I've forgotten what that means, how much that means, but whatever it is, I move that we do another round of gift cards.
So have you thought about like 10 at $50, or what are your thoughts?
The last we did was 10 cards, $50 each. Is that correct, Lynn?
Yeah, that's what we did.
Okay.
So Stephanie, do you want to repeat that same amount for your motion?
Yes, I move that we secure 10 grocery outlet gift cards at $50 a piece to hand out to people who are struggling in our neighborhood.
Okay, do we have a second?
Sure, I'll do it.
All right, Derek.
Gail, where are you, Gail?
All right, we have a motion on the table to purchase another 10 gift cards from Grocery Outlet at $50 a piece, seconded by Derek. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Stephanie,
Aye.
Derek,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Laura Lee,
Aye.
Gail,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Derek, will you coordinate with Lynn like usual?
Sure, I'll do that.
Great.
Yeah, actually, if I could just do that right now, can you swing by tomorrow at 10, Derek?
10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Sure, not a problem.
All right, that would be great.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Derek, you know to just drop them by when they're ready.
Gotcha. I'll send you a text as soon as I do it.
Sounds good. Thank
As soon
you.
as I hide them in that special place.
A note on our funds. I have tried to get a hold of folks for cleanup stuff and have not been successful. So if you have other ideas for fundraisers, let me know. I'm amenable to that and we can figure it out, especially ones we could run at our events. So put your thinking caps on, board members, because if we want to keep giving out free groceries, we're going to have to find ways to get more funds coming in.
Okay.
All right. Laura Lee, are you ready to bring forth the minutes for us to approve?
Yes, we have a lot of minutes to approve. I've made all the changes that everybody has responded to over the past 6 months. Yes, we have 6 months of minutes to approve. And so
I'm missing June and July from this list, correct?
yes, there's February, March, April, May, June, and July. And do we have to approve each month or can we approve them in a batch?
We can approve them in a batch, so you can move to approve them as corrected all at once.
Okay, well, I have a motion to approve February, March, April, May, June, and July minutes of 2021. After I've made all the corrections that people have suggested.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. So we have a motion to approve 6 months of meeting minutes, the 4 listed there, as well as June and July, seconded by Stephanie, as corrected by board members via email. Any further discussion?
You let Chelsea know that.
All right, I'll call the roll. Gail,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Laura Lee.
Hi, I'm sorry, I muted myself.
All right, Derek.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Minutes are approved. Those
I'm so happy.
Yay! Those will be up in our public records within the next few days.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura Lee, for that. We really appreciate you being our secretary. All right. I promise you are almost done listening to me for a while, but we do need to talk about all committees meeting. When we booked our in-person nights at the community center again, Russell asked if we would move all our meetings to the same night of the week. So we are going to move all committees to the 3rd Thursday of the month, but we might want to change what all committees is based on some excellent feedback from Stephanie. Stephanie, do you want to give a little summary of the email you sent, just kind of the overall how we might alter this meeting to be more productive for everybody?
Oh, okay, I'll do my best to pull my brain together here. It seemed to me that all committees had evolved into a meeting at which we did board business that we're not able to conduct at the regular board meeting because we simply don't have the time. And I think it's very valuable to have a board business meeting, and we've certainly had it while calling it something different. So I was proposing that we call it a board business night, and put together informal agendas, what we're going to talk about, but not have as formal an agenda as what we have at the regular board meeting. And make it a time for discussing lots of ideas, not only current business, but the future of our neighborhood association, to come up with fundraising ideas, ideas for vision statement and purpose, and future events, ways to engage residents in volunteer work, and all kinds of things. So I thought it would be very helpful to recast all committees as board business meeting or board business night, and then have the committees meet via Zoom, so we don't have too many in-person meetings making big demands on people's time. I thought I would continue to have land use as a Zoomed meeting, and I can move it to a different night. Doesn't need to be Thursday, so we don't conflict with the different purposes that we're now envisioning for our Thursdays. So not only the regular board meeting, a board business night, and then a community meal night. So that we probably want a fourth Thursday just for spillover stuff, so we could hold our committee meetings differently. So basically that's what I was suggesting, and I was wondering what everyone thinks about those ideas.
Board members, what do you think about turning all committees into more of a working meeting?
That works.
Okay. Laura Lee, do you have an opinion on that?
I think it's a really good idea. I think Stephanie's right. I haven't been going to the all committees meeting, but they do sound like it ends up being a runoff from our board meetings once a month. So it might be a really good idea to have a second meeting. When we go back to having in-person meetings at the community center, is there still going to be a Zoom option as well?
That's another thing we have to figure out. If we Zoom while we're in person, somebody has to be willing to volunteer to work that and deal with the chat and letting folks in. So that's not something I can do while leading an in-person meeting. It's too much of an attention split. So I'm up for, do we want to wait to start hosting in-person meetings until we see vaccination rates a little higher and where the Delta variant's going? I really want everybody's opinion on this. I don't want it to be just me pushing for whatever. So so kind of the two questions are, should we change all committees meeting? And it sounds like we're all leaning towards, yes, let's make it a working board meeting, working board business meeting, and still open to the public, but where we discuss everything we don't have time to talk about during these meetings. Does that seem kind of thumbs up for all board members?
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Lynn, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so I'm also kind of like with Laura Lee. I haven't been attending the all committees meeting. I'm not on a committee, and it's never really been clear what is being discussed. I mean, I attended them like at the beginning when I first became a board member, but recently it just seems like I'm not on a committee. I don't have time to be on a committee, so I don't attend. But I do agree that that we need something of a board business planning. We don't have the time during, our regular board meeting. I personally am fine continuing them on Zoom. Just for the efficiency of not having to get someplace, and also the Delta variant. But I'm totally fine continuing on, Zoom. Not in a big rush to get back to in-person anything. the other thing too was I've participated in a couple of hybrid Zoom things where you have some people on Zoom and some people in person, and both were not like very successful. So I don't know, it just seemed like, well, the one that was the Zoom and hybrid, the Zoom people, like it completely, it didn't work. So we were all just kind of left hanging in Zoom and not, you know, participating. And then the other one, it just seems like the Zoom people are kind of forgotten. Those are my just two experiences that I had of hybrid meetings. But that's my 2 cents.
Excellent. Thank you. We've got a few questions. We'll start with Maria. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking about if we go back to in-person meetings and we want to give that a try to maybe at the same time either have the Zoom meeting or live stream it or whichever digital solution we would like to try. I would volunteer to, you know, like sit on the computer and attend the digital needs if somebody wants to pair up with me, because I don't know, I might be gone sometime or sick or whatever. So if somebody wants to partner up with me, I would be volunteering for you know, doing the online part of future in-person meetings. And I see Kim in the chat says she would partner with me. Yay.
Awesome. So we have a solution for continuing Zoom, and we can, based on Lynn's feedback, I'd really like to make sure we set up some protocols for making sure that neighbors who are in the Zoom meeting can get their questions asked and participate in the discussion. Yeah. So we could, at one of our new work meetings, we can come up with how we're going to do that so that everyone can be heard, whether they can attend in person or online. That seem good? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm not quite ready to bring us back yet with the new Delta variant, but let's keep going. Laura Lee, you're next with a question or comment.
Oh, I was unmuted and now can you guys hear me? I'm on a different computer, so I'm just so confused. Are we gonna still, what was it last month that we left out? We skipped a month for a board meeting. Was that November?
I believe we skipped December.
So, you know, I work in a hospital, and so the way that my brain is working, I don't know if I would really feel comfortable coming back in person, you know, basically the rest of this year, because we're already going to be heading into September next month and then October, and we don't have a meeting in December anyway. And so I don't know if we'd want to come back just for 1 month in November, but I'm all about keeping it Zoom if we can. But if there is somebody to do the hybrid meetings, that would be wonderful. So yeah, thank you, Maria, for volunteering, because that's fantastic.
Thank you, Laura Lee. I appreciate that feedback. And we
do. I did want to say one more thing, based on what Lynn was saying. Since I don't attend the all committees meeting, I'm kind of giving Stephanie a second thumbs up for coming up with the board business meeting, because I do feel a little left out, because I feel like some things are discussed at the all committees meeting, but since I don't attend them, I feel a little bit out of the loop when we come back together, because I know that things did get discussed. So if there was actually a board business meeting, that would be helpful to attend.
Awesome. All right. And Stephanie, do you have another thing to add?
Yes, please. I want to echo Laura Lee's suggestion that we wait until after Christmas to return to in-person meetings, even though, you know, I badly miss being with you in person. The Delta variant problem is terrifying, and now there's a variant on the Delta variant. And Dr. Fauci is really worried, very worried. And so I think we should heed him and just continue to keep things safe and just continue as we are now. Then we won't have to scramble and change things should there be, you know, the catastrophe that we hope will not happen. So I second Laura Lee's position. She's working at the hospital. Things are heating up at hospitals all over Oregon, all over the country, actually. So I think we need to be cognizant of that. It's very sad. We were hoping that we could emerge from the pandemic by now, but no. So I think we have to be realistic.
Okay, I think we've heard from everybody except Derek. Derek and
I'm feeling good about Zoom meetings, so especially right now, so.
all right. And Gail, I saw a few comments in the chat. Did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Even
All
if
right.
one-
So I hear a resounding thumbs up for staying on Zoom until we're safe, and for switching all committees to a board work meeting. I'd still like to move it to the third Thursday of the month via Zoom. Is there anybody who can't do that? All right, and board members, would you prefer 6 or 7 for the start time of that meeting?
7,
6.
7.
6.
6. I vote for
Guys,
6.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna call each board member and you're gonna give me your preferred time. All right, Stephanie.
I don't know.
You can have no opinion if neither is better for
I
you.
don't have an opinion.
Okay, Gail,
7. Just
Derek,
that's where my brain is.
7,
Derek, what's better for you?
7.
All right, Laura Lee.
6. Remember, I wake up at 5:30 every morning. 6.
How about Lynn?
I'm a 6 also.
Okay, so it's pretty evenly split. So how about we split the difference at 6:30 and only go till 8?
I like that. That's great.
Does that work?
6:30.
Lynn, Laura Lee?
Yes.
Is that too late?
6:30 to 7:30.
All right.
I was thinking an hour.
7:30. You got it.
Okay.
I will take that negotiation. All right, so do we want to skip September and start fresh in October, or are we ready, or excuse me, skip August and start fresh in September? Or, well, actually, we have to skip August because I will not be in town, and I will not be somewhere with internet good enough to host the meeting. So we will begin our new board work meeting schedule in September, if that works for everyone.
Yes.
Yes? All right, so there will be no all committees in August. I'll make sure and post that. That meeting is being shelved, and we are now turning into this amazing new board work meeting
Okay. good.
where we will discuss the nuts and bolts of all the amazing happenings. Any further discussion on this, board members?
No, but this is a great change. Thank you.
Okay,
Can I have a quick question?
go ahead.
I don't attend the all committees meeting either so far, but I was always thinking, oh, I'm curious about those. But they're now for board members only, right? They're not public anymore.
No, this is still a public meeting.
Oh,
Neighbors
still
are
a public meeting.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
All of our
Okay.
meetings are public.
Okay, so I could still attend this meeting too.
We would love you to attend
Oh,
this.
please.
Not making any promises, just asking.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
please, Maria, please.
It
Yeah.
will be in the same kind of theme of all committees. Really, it's mostly a name change and kind of giving it a new direction. But all committees, when we met in person, was generally a meeting where we talked about everything that we didn't have enough time to discuss at the board meeting and kind of the nuts and bolts planning of things. And so it's going to follow along that. And I will endeavor to put out an agenda for that as part of that meeting so that neighbors have an idea of what we're discussing so they can, if we're working on the community meals and they really want to be a part of that, then they can come to that one. But if we're talking Winter Lights Festival and that's not their jam and they don't want to be there, they don't have to spend their hour. Does that seem good for everybody?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
all
Quick
right.
question. When is the all committees meeting?
All committees was on the third Tuesday of the month.
Okay, and it's being moved to the third Thursday?
Yes, we're gonna move it third Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
But it won't be called all committees.
No, it's going to be let's call it a work session. How's that?
BDNA work session.
Yeah, Pam, I saw a motion, but I missed what it was. Thumbs up. Okay, so we'll call it a BDNA work session. And that way, neighbors won't feel excluded because it's not just for the board. And we would love you to come do work with us. Does that sound good?
And that will- yeah, and that will start in September.
That will start in September.
All right.
And I will post that on our website and all of that as well when I post the announcement for all committees going away. Okay. Thank you, board members. Derek, it is all you. I'm going to get your different
Okay.
things up that we had. So while I get this sharing changed, go ahead and start talking about home prices in Brentwood-Darlington.
Okay, great. There's two, I guess there's two PDFs, so I need to get back in there and see what you've got. Okay, is there a
If you
shared
want a
screen?
second, I'll have your PDF.
Oh,
up.
gotcha. Okay. So we'll figure it out. So basically, it was interesting. I looked in our neighborhood. You'll see some properties on 83rd. So my boundaries sometimes overlap, or the actual neighborhood boundaries. But I looked at sold sales here for the month of June and compared them with July. And it was quite interesting. Oh, this is okay. So
tell me which file you want. I have all of them open.
Sure. Let's say, oh, that one there. Let's look at that one first.
Okay.
And so Cooper Street. So if I look at this very carefully, so I believe, can we see the bottom of that? Because I think the bottom of it has kind of, and I believe this is for the month of July, right? So everything you'll see, there's the stats are there for those. There's 25 solds roughly, and you'll see the days on the market. The DOM is for days on the market, median, and there's average versus median. Of course, median is kind of the middle, so a lot of things are going, more than half are going in with less than 5 days, right? And then of course average is 10, so it tells you, it kind of skews out because there are things that are sometimes it's really hard to price in this market. So sometimes inadvertently listing agents, even experienced ones, will overprice something. So it might sit on the market for a little while before there's a price reduction. But usually if they get it wrong, they get it right with the next price reduction. And then all of a sudden you have that surge of buyers coming in to see the property. You will see the number is identical for the earlier month of June. 10 days on the market, 5 is the median, but you'll see the pricing is it's more per square foot because we're starting to see a little softening in the market. But because there's a little buyer fatigue out there, but still there's a lot of people still looking. And of course, the alternative of renting is tough. Even with all the new apartment buildings being built, it's just apples and oranges for a lot of people. So any questions?
So is the number of homes turning over or being sold is still very high, and the trend continues?
I think so. And here's my opinion, Stephanie, that a title person, I always take CE or continuing ed classes. And I remember we were in a Zoom meeting like this with a title rep from one of the title companies. And he pointed out, it's not, people say we don't have the same amount of inventory we had in previous years. And he was arguing, it's like, no, we have the same amount of inventory or houses for sale as previous years. We just have more buyers in the current market. Interest rates are part of that. Also the pandemic, you've got a lot of people trying to get out of California and other places. Oregon, with all its issues and problems, Portland is still more attractive than where they're coming from. And then you have people here in Portland that are trying to get out to Estacada or Milwaukee or somewhere further or closer. They're trying to get over the county line, just some place where they perceive as not having the same issues that because it's a lot tougher being a landlord now. There's new laws out there, and so a lot of the mom and pop people are trying, they know they really have to pay attention. Otherwise, there's serious consequences and fines. So what I'm finding is there's a lot of people want to move, but they got to find where they're going. So, but do you have the other sheet, Chelsea? The other that looks like this?
I do.
So if we get to the bottom of that, yeah, and this I believe is for June. So you're going to see again the DOM. It's like 26 versus 25 solds. And you're going to see average days on market are 10, median is 5. So again, half of these 26 are selling in 5 or less days on the market before they go sale pending. And typically in that situation, there's multiple offers. You will see the pricing per square foot, I believe, is a little higher. So I'd like to think that the market's cooling off a little bit. This statistic below, this is Lexington. On the previous month, it was July. I think I had 83rd. It was my boundaries. Again, they kind of go just a block over. But you'll see things that sell that aren't listed. A lot of times, a buyer might, somebody with a house, they might see something they want to buy, and they talk to a realtor, and that person may already have buyers, or they might even go to some of the cash buyers that are out there. And there are quite a few cash buyers at the right price, they'll just buy the house. So you're seeing the sold, not listed, that's becoming more common, and RMLS has created that category. So
Derek,
that,
Laura Lee has a question.
sure.
I was wondering what your thoughts were about lots being sold, because I've seen a couple of lots go on the market, and they seem to be selling very quickly. And I swear, like within a week or two, I already see a house being built on it, which fascinates me.
It does. And sometimes things can move very quickly. And just actually the other PDF I had there, there's some other than these two, Chelsea, there's some kind of, there's a property there, yeah, on Flavel Street. So that's like, okay, we'll stop there. So this was just listed on August 1st. This is over 10,000 square foot. So you talk about a lot. This is on the corner of 66 and Flavel. So it's due south of me. I actually walked down there on my way to Grocery Outlet and walked the block. If you're curious, the showing instructions are you need to wear like a respirator. I don't know if there's mold issues or something. I think there's a renter in the process of moving out. But you're basically buying the land, right? And the house, you know, they talk about major remodel. In most cases, it makes sense to demo that house. The only thing that can be an issue is that will delay that is a lot of the city is a lot more strict as far as demoing a house with lead and asbestos. And so what they'll do is a lot of these houses, they'll have them tested before they actually send out the demo permit. Case in point, I live on 66 and Duke. If you go up and down Duke, just south of me, there's a house that's been sitting there for quite some time. I already got the notice about being demoed. They took all the siding off, and they waited weeks, and I believe to test for lead and asbestos. And then once they find out what they're dealing with, then they allow them to demo, to tear the house down. And they showed up today with a backhoe. And so I'm watching properties like this one. And if you're curious, Chelsea, there's another PDF it's like a multi-page, that's a tax. Yeah, this is one. So this is Land Development Builder Services. So I had Tycor Title was generous to do this. And are you able to scroll down through this? Okay, great. So you're going to see there's something like 52 pages. And so when you talk about lots, what's really a game changer is this month, August 1st, they changed some of the zoning requirements. And I put a link in an email I sent out. I think, do you remember getting that, Chelsea? It has that little link in there in the email I sent you with these PDFs.
So all of these PDFs are in this link here in the chat. There's a folder.
Let me share this with you. Let's see how competent I am here. I'm going to try to cut and paste this link in here. I've got it right.
And then Derek, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up because unfortunately we're
Okay.
running a little behind and I want to make sure Stephanie has time to talk about land use and Pam has time for her park update.
Sure, I hear. So I'm going to stick this in here. And where's my chat? Let's see if it's going to let me do this. So I'm going to share this link with everybody. And this link there is a lot of what you can do now with this new zoning as far as density. The lot that I've in question is R5. And people ask me, so what can you do? Well, if you read this article on sightline.org, that's a head start. And they'll tell you about a lot of the changes and what new things you can do as far as developing these lots. And a lot of these lots have an existing home that probably should be demoed, has a lot of issues on oversized lot. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. If you have more questions for Derek, I'm sure he would be happy to answer them. You can hit him up in the chat. And these documents, as well as all the RMLS maps we've shown in previous slideshows, are in that linked folder. All right, I'm going to switch back to our slideshow. And while I do that, since I don't have a slide for you, Pam, why don't you go ahead and update us on the Arrow Heights things? The park and the art. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things here. Go ahead. But you do need to unmute for us to hear you.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I went out to the linked information that Derek gave us in the chat and I couldn't get back. So I'm back. Thank you. So the update on the park art installation is we have a budget of about $85,000 for public art in the park. And we've been working for months as a committee to select artists. There were over 56 artists initially. We've gone through 3 rounds. Yesterday was the finalist interviews and we selected an artist, yay. So I cannot tell you who it is because they're just being notified, but I feel confident they're going to create a beautiful work of art for us. And it will be installed hopefully in time for the grand opening of the park in fall of next year. They will be working in the next few months on creating the actual concept for one or more pieces of art in the park and the siting and so forth, working with both PP&R staff and Mayor Reed, the landscape architect that has been executing the plans. So that's the update. And as soon as the artist is publicly known, I will share that portfolio work with you. And Stephanie, did you want to segue back to the TGM and other land use issues?
Yes, please. But then I'm going to segue right back to you.
Okay, wonderful.
All right.
Plus more. Okay, so
and before you start, Stephanie, just so neighbors know, there's a link to the Arrow Heights Park project in the chat, so you can keep up to date on what's going on there. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, so this is the beginning of the report of the Land Use Committee. The first item is our Transportation Growth Management Planning Effort, also known as Lower Southeast Rising, a name that I'm not really fond of, so I like to say TGM project. Anyway, this planning effort has been officially announced now, formally launched. And it's for those who are not familiar with it, it's a planning effort on the part of the city that will analyze aspects of our areas such as transportation sufficiency, anti-displacement risk, and number and location of retail and businesses and commercial enterprises, with the idea of rezoning to bring in more such activities so that we have places to walk to, so we don't have to drive down to Clackamas or up to Woodstock to do our shopping. The the project managers, let me just also say the object of the planning effort is to produce a report consisting of recommendations, recommended actions for our area. And once the city council adopts this, it will improve our ability to get funding in the years to come. We have not received as much as we would have liked because we never had a plan in place as Cully has. But now we will, and we will be able to get more city investment in our neighborhood and in Woodstock and Mount Scott Arleta, along Foster Road and in West Lens. So this is going to be very beneficial for our entire area here. So in order to arrive at their final plan, the project managers want to hear from all the residents of the project area. And so the project managers have posted a survey questionnaire on their website and asked us and others, please go to the website and complete this questionnaire. Gives you an opportunity to share your views about our area and what you want, how you experience it now, how you'd like to experience it. So it's critical to connect, to give your information or your thoughts to the project managers so that they can formulate a plan that is meaningful for all of us. Otherwise, they're left high and dry and they have to try to guess and do it themselves. And we don't want that. We want as many people as possible giving input to the project. So please fill out the questionnaire and get your neighbors to do it and your family and anyone else you could think of, strangers on the street, grasp their elbow and say, you must go and fill out this questionnaire. So the questionnaire URL is, I think, is in the chat now. Is that right? Yes, okay.
Correct. And it's also available in Spanish, so share with your Spanish-speaking neighbors as well.
Okay, very fine. And now Pam is a member of the project advisory committee. So she's going to give us some updates on the project now.
And I'm going to remind about brevity because we're coming up on the end of our meeting.
Yeah, just a couple other comments on this survey. It's open until the end of September. However, it's getting a tremendous response already. The survey was just posted yesterday, and I got an email from Marty this morning that there's already been over 150 responses in 24 hours or less, including 6 to 8, she believes, in Spanish. So yay, we're getting the word out. And then these two reports, I mean, the existing conditions atlas is like an 84-page report. I waded through it this morning, and it has everything from area history, the latest demographics and equity issues in our area, land use zoning, more of the real estate stats that Derek was providing, and really good maps about current transportation conditions and where it might be headed. So I would really, urge people to flip through that and save it as a reference. And then the second report, the commercial real estate and retail market analysis, is much shorter, and I haven't really spent much time with it yet. But they've been talking about establishing corridors on either 52nd or 72nd. And so there's a lot of statistics about existing conditions on those two potential corridors for Brentwood-Darlington. So I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to make one little comment that at a recent meeting that Marty Stockton attended and Zeph Wagner from the city, Zeph and Marty commented that they have been very surprised to see how many home businesses there are in our area. And Zeph had proposed months ago that maybe one result of the planning would be that our little home businesses would be allowed to have a storefront presence at their homes. on the street. And that would be really exciting and wonderful if we could see that happen. That would be just fantastic. Okay, thank you, Pam. Are there any questions from those present about the planning effort? No? Okay, all right, Chelsea, can we
We'll move on.
go back to the list?
The next thing on the list was the video, but Stephanie, I'd like to get through the things that you have motions on. So are you okay if we
Please.
watch this last?
Yes, I was going
Okay.
to ask for that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Chelsea.
I want to, whoops, I don't want you to play the video. I want you to move on. There we go. All right. Do you want to do a quick thing on air quality and then I'll hit your next slide?
Okay, well, just to remind people that we have a fine particulate monitor for Brentwood-Darlington, and you can access it at purpleair.com. And it's I feel that we've had some poor air quality recently, so it's good to check our monitor to see what's happening with smoke and other stuff in the air and diesel particulates. So do check in. If you feel that your voice is getting scratchy, look it up. Look up our monitor to see what's happening and maybe stay indoors more depending on the reading. Okay, thank you, Chelsea. Okay.
Next thing.
All right. Okay, so I want a board approval to contest something. There is a company called Eagle Trailer Manufacturing. It's down on Luther Road. It is seeking a permit for emissions from its paint booth of noxious volatile organic compounds. And I feel that we should contest this because I'm tired of doing business as usual. Our world is crashing around us and I want to see some change. So I want to contest, with the board's permission, I want to contest the application of Eagle Trailer to emit stuff into the air. If it's going to run its paint booth, I think it needs to capture the emissions and not put them out where we can breathe them. So I need to submit something to the city of Portland before August 12th, but I didn't want to contest this without board approval. So I move that well, I don't know exactly how to proceed with this. Maybe somebody else should make a motion.
I believe that you want to motion to write a letter contesting this permit application.
Yes.
Okay, we have a second. All right, no, I move that we communicate to the city that we don't have to write a letter. I just have to send an email to the city staff that's in charge of this. But that I move that we communicate to the city of Portland that we contest Eagle Manufacturing's attempt to obtain a permit to emit VOCs from the painting booth.
Do we have a second? I see Gail seconds. Any further discussion? I will note that this was posted on the neighborhood Facebook groups, and all of the neighbors that commented were against letting them skip filtering out the pollutants. So this decision also reflects the discussion that happened in the neighborhood groups. Laura Lee, do you have a comment?
No.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion on the table to contest the permit application, seconded by Gail. I'll run through the roll real fast. Laura Lee?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Myself? Aye. Motion passes unanimous. You may contest it, Stephanie. Just save a copy of whatever you send in our outgoing letters, please.
Yes, I will, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Awesome. Give us a 1 minute on your Tesla wall idea.
Okay, so the Brentwood-Darlington Community Center would be very valuable as a warming and cooling center, but only if the power stays on. We're very lucky this last year during the ice storm that the center did not lose power, but there were residents all around in the area who did lose power. So if we are going to use the community center as a warming and cooling center, we need some to make sure that it stays powered. So I'm proposing that we write a grant proposal to buy a Tesla Powerwall or equivalent to install at the community center. And the executive director has said that this is fine with him. So I need to do some research on exactly how the Powerwalls work, what they cost. I need to get information from Russell Wozniak about what amount of electricity is needed to power the building. But I would like to write a grant proposal to Metro. It has a community placemaking grant cycle that's just opening up. And I'd like to try to equip the BDCC with some backup battery storage. So do I have board approval to seek this grant? So
Board members, is there any opposition to seeking a grant? I don't believe we need to vote on applying for grants, do we?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just want people to know that we're doing it. And
All thumbs up from board members?
Any discussion?
The only discussion I see is Gail asking about solar panels. And the short answer is, Gail, the community center needs a new roof before we can discuss that.
And in the meantime, the power walls are charged just through the regular electricity. So we'll tackle the solar panels next.
Yep. This is like step one.
Yeah, step one. Yes.
All right. Coming up quick, we have a quick one on this. Stephanie, do you mind if I just give the overview of this, since I think my name got attached to it at some point?
Okay, go ahead.
The short version of this is, at one point we endorsed a letter for Portland Clean Air, but they will not provide us a copy of that letter and have since changed letters that we've endorsed. There's a letter sample that will be linked in the chat, and Stephanie would like to retract our support since they are shifting letters after we've signed on.
No. This isn't exactly accurate.
Did I get that one wrong?
They have given us copies of letters.
There we go.
That have our endorsement on them, but the endorsement is very strange, and we have no record of having endorsed them.
Thank you.
So
I had it slightly wrong.
Okay, no, that's fine. And so we've been wondering what to do, and so I have a course of action that I would like board approval of. Portland Clean Air recently ran a letter by me to say, still okay to endorse, and I didn't get to it in time, and they sent it to the city with our endorsement, but it was okay because the problem with Zenith Energy, and this letter was sent by Linton Neighborhood Association. The problem with Zenith Energy is that it is transporting Alberta tar sands oil through our community, and we don't want that. So I don't mind that this letter slipped through, but I don't like having these letters with our endorsement under the wrong name and without any record. So I am going to ask Portland Clean Air, I'm going to say, withdraw our endorsements from all of your letters, and we're going to start over. I'm going to study the letters, and then for those that we wish to support, we are going to write our support on our own stationery and submit it. So we will have a record then, a date, names, and board approval of each matter. So so I move that we retract our endorsements from all of the Portland Clean Air letters and then reissue endorsements one by one as we see fit.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the table to rescind our endorsements and resubmit on our own letterhead, seconded by Gail. Any further discussion? All right, I'll run through the roll. Stephanie?
Aye.
Laura Lee?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion passes. Go
And-
ahead, Stephanie, and thank you
Okay.
for your diligence on that.
Okay, thank you. But I just wanted to say one thing. If you want to see the letter that did go to the city council, you can find it at, I don't know, I had provided
It is linked in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. So you can see for yourself what it's all about. And I'm sure you agree with me that it's fine. Okay, let's go on.
All right, so Kim is not here for Southeast Uplift this evening, and I think this is the month where we're off schedule with them anyway. So instead of our miscellaneous business, since it is 9 a.m. or 9 a.m., we all know that apparently we're done, 9 p.m. We're gonna flip back, and Stephanie put together this amazing list of all the work that PBOT has recently done, is currently doing, and is about to do in our neighborhood. And I took that list, and with her help, we've made it into a slideshow video. I hope to add narration at some point, but that point has not happened yet. So you get the silent movie version. But we're going to go ahead and run it. It's only about 3 minutes. And I know the slides go fairly fast. So the link is in the chat to it on YouTube, so you can watch it at your leisure. But that's how we'll end our meeting this evening. So enjoy.
Thank you, Chelsea.
And it looks like it's being a little grumpy. So I'm gonna pull it up on my other computer here on YouTube and share it via a different screen. So 1 second. Actually, I think I can pull it up here. My apologies for the problems in the machines, because one is slower than the other. And it will just take me a second to pull it up on YouTube. Share. Videos don't do well like this often, but we'll see if we can get it to go. Might have to share through mine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip it ahead to, oh no. Sorry, folks.
Oh, speed bumps.
There you go. So I'm going to let that pause there so you can look at it, and then I'm going to see if I can swap it to my screen. Give me just a moment.
We got new speed bumps on 60th, on East 64th, and on Nehalem. Is that how you pronounce it? Nehalem? Nehalem?
Yeah, Nehalem.
Nehalem. Thank you, Derek. And then we're going to be getting speed bumps on Flavelle Drive, which is really exciting.
Okay, I think that's going to work a little better.
Thank you.
Everyone see that screen okay?
Yes. Yeah, looks beautiful. Okay. Speed bumps on Duke. Lower speed limit on Southeast Flavelle Drive. Fabulous. Okay. And then the 10 speed cushions will be installed shortly. We got 45th Avenue repaved. The Errol Heights Street Improvement Project. There's a couple of streets in Errol Heights. You need a military Humvee to get over it. There'll also be sidewalks around the park area on the streets. More crossings. another crossing. Then this is kind of a little summary of some of the things that have happened. You can see we have future sidewalk infill on Flavel and Duke. And then here again in orange is the, oh, I see we're going back. It's fine, just leave it here. The orange is the sidewalk infill on Flavel and Duke, and then there'll be our greenway along Ogden and Knapp, or maybe just along Ogden. And what you just saw, the sidewalks and greenway, Chelsea was part of the amazing advocacy that made that brought in the money, 2.2 million in regional flexible funding from Metro, and then PBOT matched it with over 3 million to make our sidewalk infill and greenway project happen. So this is just a huge, huge thing for our neighborhood. Thank you, Chelsea, for all the work that you put in on that.
And a
Yes.
shout out to Leslie and Misa pictured there. They championed that project before I was even on the board. So they definitely need to be praised there.
And the Springwater connector is now done. It's a beautiful path through the park, and then the street. Oops, okay. Well, this is going faster than I can keep up. That's okay. But the Southeast 75th Place, which used to look like that street in Arrow Heights Park, is now paved, completely paved with sidewalk, trees. You wouldn't recognize it. You shall go visit it and let your jaws drop. Okay. And then we were worried about certain area here where cyclists were sometimes riding against the traffic because they use the crossing, the pedestrian crossing with the island that you can see off to the left and kind of in the middle of the photograph. And so PBOT engineers had a look at it, and they decided that it wasn't dangerous, and indeed no one's been hurt there. But we were very worried, so they paid attention to us and evaluated it, and so at least they heard us and responded. Oh, and then PBOT is also working on a greenway that will go back and forth amongst the different 70 avenues, the 72nd, 74th, whatever works, and but this is where it emerges in Flavel Drive in our neighborhood. And so it's a beautiful crossing that this is just east of the Springwater connector that goes through Flavel Park. And then that road at 78th Avenue has a nice paving, four-way stops, it's a really nice change that anticipates the future complete greenway, 70s greenway. And this was very exciting. I'm sure you read about it in the news, but PBOT and Oregon Department of Transportation have agreed on how to transfer 82nd Avenue to the city. Each of them will be putting in some funding, and we are going to see 82nd Avenue transformed. It's going to be beautiful, and it's our eastern boundary. So this is going to make a huge difference for our neighborhood. And then we have the Lower Southeast Planning Project. PBOT put in a lot of its own money, in addition to working hard to obtain a grant for us from the state of Oregon. And as you heard early in the program, the planning project has been launched. It's going full bore now, and it's going to make a big difference to our future as well. So we're seeing a lot of investment in our neighborhood, and when it's not apparent day to day, but if you make a list and you add it all up, you see that it's massive. So thank you, PBOT. They've really been going out of their way to pay attention to us. And I just didn't realize how much until I put this list together.
And I want to give a final shout out to our land use committee, especially Stephanie, who puts in hundreds of hours every month working on these things. And a reminder that you can view this video on our YouTube channel at your leisure. I know we went through it quickly and it's late. Before we finish for the evening, I want to double check that there are no more questions or comments.
No.
All right.
Yeah, great video.
All right, neighbors, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. And I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. We will see you all again next month, the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. here on Zoom. Have a great night, neighbors.
Great, thank
Good
you.
night,
Bye.
everybody. And thank you, Chelsea. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.